Hey guys, Christian here. This is another palm review, and this time we're doing Dypsis crinita. The common name for this palm is very odd. It's called the old lady palm because it actually has this hair that kind of looks like, I guess, an elderly lady's hair. That's what I've been told. The name crinita means hairy in Latin, so that's where you can see this has this hairy double-headed trunk, or it just kind of splits in half after a certain point. And it actually has a new red leaf. Now, if you can kind of see right here, see that? I don't know if you can see that color, but the color is fading on it right now, but I guess you can see it a little bit there. So this is kind of an oddball. You can see the new spear, the red right there. That's going to turn into a very red leaf. And this plant is somewhat of an outlier in the world of Dypsis. So this plant is related to stuff like the triangle palm, the teddy bear palm, the areca palm, but it doesn't look very much like it. It doesn't have a crown shaft. You can't even see the trunk. It has new colored leaflets, and it actually needs a ton of water. So these plants tend to grow near rivers, and they like their roots wet all the time. That's why there's a saucer down there to make sure the roots stay wet all the time. This is a fairly mature plant. It should put out a seed bract relatively soon if it hasn't already. Looking, there's actually a third head on this thing. I didn't even notice that, but that will happen. They will multi-head, and they're just kind of, there's actually three palms that look nearly identical. Dypsis crinita, this one, Dypsis dransfieldi, named after John Dransfield, the person who authored, the botanist, the head botanist basically of the palm world for decades, and Dypsis rivularis, and they are hard to tell apart. This one was labeled as Dypsis crinita. The seed was had as such until the flower. I think the flowers are really what determines the difference. So they're going to be nearly identical visually. So the seed is going to be this fibrous oval, and you can get them at a lot of these seed shops that are either in the U.S. or abroad. And sorry guys, I don't have the tripod, so I have to kind of do this one-handed a lot of the time. And so yeah, the seed is obtainable. It's not that expensive. It's one of those novelties that if you enjoy the look of this plant, go for it. It's not for everybody. It doesn't, the older leaves you have to trim off on your own. These are the dead older leaves. But it's not. They don't like full sun. They like being in shade. Another odd thing, the areca right behind it, loves full sun, and Dypsis lutescens, and so it's a little bit, it just comes from a different area. I forget what part of Madagascar it's from, but it is from Madagascar, and it comes from the under canopy, not from out in the open. So treat this like any, it will tolerate probably upper 20s. It is a 9B plant, probably about as cold hardy as a little bit more cold hardy than areca. So yeah, 27, 29 degrees is probably going to be its threshold. And you'd have to keep it, make sure you keep it always wet if you have one. Don't let it dry out. They transplant fine, just they don't let them dry because it'll just kind of creep up to the plant and just it'll just desiccate completely. So you'll see it around. People decided to collect, to grow these from seed. They're not common, but they're also, when you find them, they're not going to be like an expensive plant. They're not incredibly slow. They're just one of those plants that just puts out a bunch of leaves. It is, I wouldn't say it doesn't stand out. It's one of those things where if you want this hairy trunked palm, there are other palms that have hair or a lot of fiber all over their trunks. One being the old man palm, Cocothrinax crinita. And so that's the old man palm. This is the old lady palm. And so I'm going to focus the camera not on just the trunk so you can actually see what the leaflets look like. They're relatively thin. Again, it's not crown shafted, so it's going to, you're going to have to do some trimming to keep it tidy. And it doesn't like to hold a ton of leaves, but it does have color. When you have two or three heads and spears are coming out, you're going to have red leaves, kind of coming throughout the year. So when one's flushing, usually they don't all open at the same time, so if one's opening, not flushing, but one's opening, the other one will be kind of coming behind it. So they are, it's something, if you find that sort of thing interesting, I mean, I had one in my yard. I had killed it because I didn't water it enough. I was somewhat unhappy, but it wasn't something that was, you know, it wasn't one of my holy grail palms, I guess you could say. So I'll leave it there with Dypsis crinita. I hope this was informative. If it was, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about this this complex of oddball Dypsis that exists, leave a comment down below. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.